All right, Zara, I couldn't find the video I wanted to send you, so I thought I'll quickly do one just for you. All right, so this little phrase that we've been talking about was this H-A-O, then the So Cah Toa. So for these right angle trigonometry questions, if you can remember that phrase, it's everything that we're going to need. So we'll go through it. The Hao is just the labeling, right? So it's like which side is the H, which side is the A, and which is the O. We know, you told me correctly, that the H is always the one opposite the right angle. Do a lap around the angle to get my A, and then that just leaves my O for the other one. All right, so let me get rid of these. So now we've got it labeled H, A, and O. Hang on, let's make that a bit neater. Let's get rid of those. All right, we've got our label H, A, and O. We look and see which one is useless to us. Which one's got no information? I can see it's this one here. I've got no information about the H. So anything now in the Soh Cah Toa part, because we've done the Hao, so anything in the Soh Cah Toa that's got an H is useless to us. So I can't use that one, can't use that one. This is going to be a tan question. So I just write tan. The A angle we went around was the 40 degrees. And I can see in the little phrase Toa, the O and the A mean the O goes on top, A on the bottom. So tan is opposite over adjacent. So having a look, my opposite over here was the X over adjacent, which was 5. And there's only 3 options, right? We're either going to slide, we're going to swap, or we're going to shift. And I'll quickly explain all 3. This is the real crash course, but I think you picked it up pretty quick on as we were doing those practice ones. Slide is if the number's on the bottom. So literally, if the number's on the bottom, I'm going to slide it over in front here. All right? If the number's on the bottom, slide it over, and now I can see I've got X equals 5, 10, 40. You can put that in the calculator. If we had something like this, if I had, let's say, after I've done the first part of the question, I've got tan of 40 equals, let's say I had 5 over X, this would be a swap question. Okay, that one's a slide. This one would be a swap question because the X is on the bottom. So I'm going to take that and I'm literally going to swap places with those two. Right. So I swapped the X and the tan 40. So I'll put that back how it was. Those two are actually just going to swap places. So you'll end up with X equals 5 over tan 40. That's a swap. The last one is shift. So if you ended up with, if you're trying to find the angle, actually, I'm going to pause and just pull up my calculator. All right, the reason I call this one a shift is we need to hit the shift button because we need to find this angle. So if I had tan of some angle equals 4 over 5, well, this is different to these because there's no letter in the fraction. I hit the shift button first. So instead of doing tan, I hit shift tan there, and then I put the fraction in. In this case, it would be 4 over 5. This is just example. These aren't the real numbers from this question. And then when I hit equals, I'll get a decimal. But if I hit this degrees, minutes, seconds, or I like to call it the bubble button, it'll turn it into a degree. So it's 38 degrees, 39 minutes. That would be a example of shift. So everything's the same for the first part. You do the Hao for all of them. Every one of these questions. Do the Hao. You come up with this. So you come up with your trig ratio, and then you decide, oh, for the last step, is it a slide? Is it a swap? Or is it one where I need to use the shift button? All right, that was the 5-minute crash course for trigonometry, but we can talk about that more next time we're together. But definitely get used to using Hao Soh Cah Toa and take it from there. All right, mate. Cheers.